My name is Pastor Scott, and I'm so excited to have you with us here. It's just been a great thing that some of the youth have requested that we start recording our Wednesday night sermons, and so that they can catch up on them and review them, and if they weren't here, be able to come back and watch them. And it just blesses my heart so much that we have a group of young people who are so eager to hear the Word of God. And so I pray that you use this resource in conjunction to being connected and being a part of your local church. And I just pray that the Lord uses this message and blesses you through it. And so please enjoy. And I am excited for tonight, which is our Shine Your Light night. We have three amazing speakers, and what they are going to be talking about is our dreams versus God's reality. And what this means, and what tonight is going to be about, is so many times in life, we get wrapped up in our own dreams. And what that means is, young people, you look to your parents and look to the leaders here, ask them what their dream was when they were your age. Don't worry about it. When they were your age. Because what they're currently doing is probably different than what their dream was when you were a kid. I wanted to sell dolphins on the black market. That was my dream when I was your age. I'm a youth pastor. So somewhere along the lines, one, we live in Pennsylvania, hard to catch. And two, I'm scared of the water. So not a very good dream, but a dream nonetheless. And so what happened along the way? Life happens. There's so many things that right now, it's good to have dreams. I'm not saying don't have dreams. I'm saying, why do we get so rigid in our dreams? We don't let them change. We don't let them move with life. See, that's where we got to be careful. Because what we want to talk about tonight is being so rigid that you refuse to allow God to change those dreams, to call you to different things that might not be necessarily what I want. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, and I'm very excited. Put your hands together for our first speaker, which is Miss Avalynn. Ava?
Tonight, before we start, I just wanted to say that I was really scared for tonight, and I still am very scared for tonight. But I'm also really excited, and again, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for God because I really felt Him, calling me to do this, and I just wanted to share my testimony. Okay. Okay, tonight I am talking about being separated from God as a young person because of this world. And I'm going to share how God really impacted my life when I asked Him for help. And so I really struggled with anxiety. And anxiety was a big thing for me mostly because of school, and being a Christian while everybody else is, different. It's really hard when you have different beliefs, and maybe they like to judge and criticize you for that kind of stuff. And I really struggle with this stuff because I wanted to do things that other people did. Like, I would see them cursing, and I would want to curse like they did. Or I would see them, dress a certain way, and I would want to dress like they did. Or anything, inappropriate that people did these days. I didn't want to be the odd one out, and I wanted to fit in. So I wanted to do what they did, and if that was what I had to do to, belong, then that's what I wanted to do. and it was wrong. And, I was pretty young, and I still am. But, I always thought that God wasn't there for me, and I would always have trouble with actually knowing if he was really there. And, it was really hard for me. And and this kind of anxiety would make me worry, and this feeling of worry would make me want to change that. And, I try to think of ways to change that. And they weren't always good, which was part of the reason how, separation from God was, really happening for me. And it was just a whole big thing. And I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to grow closer in him. But my scripture for anxiety is 2 Philippians 4:6-7. Oh, there it is. Okay. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Basically, this verse is telling me that, I don't need to be anxious about anything, and every day, and every time of the day, by praying to him and asking him for help, with thankfulness, I can present my request to God, and his peace will guard my heart and my mind in him. And, that really helped me, and I really thought this verse was really, it really ran deep, and I feel like I could really relate to it. Okay. At one point in my life, it was actually a few years ago, I had this stomach problem, and I didn't know what it is. I didn't know what it was. My parents didn't know what it was. And this was by the time I was in elementary school. So, this was a part of my life when I really started to struggle with fitting in. And this was the time when, I would go to doctors, and I would even go to hospitals, and they couldn't find anything wrong with me, and it actually ended up being anxiety. And this anxiety would cause me to really, I would stay up at night, and I wouldn't be able to sleep, and I really didn't know what was going on. And at this point I thought God really left me, and I was all alone, and I was struggling with finding friends who I could trust, and who were good people. And I would always pray, and I'd ask him for help. And it took time, because it's not going to just happen fast. It's going to take time for him to help you realize that he's actually making something in your life. I always thought that he was never there for me, but he was there for me. And even though I didn't realize it, he led me down a whole different path than what I thought it was going to turn out to be. And now I see that, that was his plan for me. And I really feel moved by that now. And I'm really proud with, the person that I am now, and I'm still growing through him, and I'm still trying to, grow through him, and I'm still trying to, figure out and grow closer to him and all that stuff. And, okay, I would also have another thing to go along with school. I would see that people were, different from me, and like maybe they had a different sexuality, or maybe they, something along those lines. And since other people were like that, maybe that I'm like that too, because, we're all humans. And I learned that only got me in trouble, and, that drew me like further away from God, and that wasn't who I wanted to be. And, the world really just, my world felt like it was just nothing good was happening, and, I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and I really needed help. So I would always ask God for him to help me, and eventually he actually, look where I am now. Like, I feel like I could still get better, and I could still pray for help. And yeah, it's not going to be easy. Like, nothing was easy for me. But I feel like I've definitely changed in Christ, and I feel like I'm, a lot better. And I would also, like I was saying, I would also struggle with peer pressure, which was things my friends would do that weren't right, but I would get influenced by it, and I would want to be like that. And the verse for that is Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And this told me that I shouldn't be what the world wants me to be. I should be what God wants me to be. And God's will is better than anything else like that you could possibly think of. And it's really the only thing for you. And that really helped me too. And I would always struggle with my own mind, actually. My mind would have constant battles with me, and it'd always say, like, you're not good enough, or you're too young to, believe in God or preach about him, or, even just pray. And, these things really, brought me down, and it really made me doubt myself. And, I also prayed to him about this, and I would always struggle with it. Like, I'm young, and I know I'm young, but looking down on myself because of that, isn't right. And this verse helped me, which is 1 Timothy 4:12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. This verse tells me that I shouldn't let anyone or my own mind look down on me because I am young, but I should set like an example, like I'm doing right now, for people who do believe. And I should do that in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. And in the present, like I said, I'm still growing in God, and I'm still finding out ways to, become closer to him. And I hope that one day, he'll help me become a beautiful young woman in Christ. And that's all I really want for my future and for this world. And I really believe that he has a future set out for me, and I really believe that he has something planned for me. And that's it.
I'm proud of you. Give a round of applause for Miss Avalynn. Ava, you are 100% right. God has a plan for each and every one of you. And I am so proud of you. I'm so excited that you are willing to step out in faith and come up and share. All of you know how difficult this is and how nerve-wracking it can be, and you did great. You did a great job. And I just want you to know that I believe in my heart that the Lord is using you to set an example. Because that, believe it or not, I don't know if Ava knows that, but that is our youth group's verse. Because don't let anyone look down on you for your young age. God uses young people just like you every single day to change lives. You guys are more capable than older people because your hearts aren't jaded yet, that the world and so many years of just going through life weighs and hurts your heart. Eventually you get to be the old man who's decrepit and crotchety and just got all these walls built up. It's so easy as we go on in life to build up these walls in our hearts and in our minds. Young people, you have no walls yet. And it's amazing. And that's why Jesus always is saying, be like the children. Have that kind of love that just spills out into everything that you do. Have that kind of faith where God's like, I want you to jump over this entire ocean. You're like, okay, let's do it. Like there's no question, there's no hesitation. It's I'm all in. That's what God wants from all of us in all of our ages. Is always have that heart and mind of a young person. And so I'm excited to hear our next speaker, which please give a round of applause for Miss Gabriella.
Hello, everyone. So I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about waiting on God and how that can relate to our topic tonight, our dreams versus God's reality. But before I get into that, I wanted to tell a little bit about just what inspired me to speak tonight. Last Shine Your Light night, I remember just like feeling inspired for some reason, which is weird for me. I don't feel inspired to talk in front of people. That's not who I am. And it was weird because while they were speaking, I remember picturing myself standing on stage speaking. I remember talking myself down, just like, don't picture that. Like, don't get your hopes up. You can't do that. But even when I left, I still couldn't get this thought out of my mind. And I was confused. I was like, okay, this has to stop. I have other things to worry about. I need to do other things in my life. But then when it came to Sunday, and Scott had asked me if I wanted to speak, I'm going to be completely honest with you. It felt like a dream. It was like, I wanted to say no, initially. But for some reason, God was telling me, why don't you wait? So I did. I waited maybe at least a month or two. And I had just been struggling, like spiritually. It was like, I knew God was calling me to speak, but I was struggling because that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I could just like feel Satan like just pulling me away, saying like, oh, you can't do this, like putting like doubts in my mind. And I kept saying to myself, you can't do this. How could you possibly do this? You're just not, this is not the position you should be in. But then I heard, it was like I could just picture God in that moment saying, all right, you're fine. Like, you're right. You can't do this. But that's because you're human. And it's in your flesh to think that. But You cannot do that with your own strength. If you come to me, I will give you that strength. So the verse that I wanted to use for this, to put a better picture in your mind, was Revelation 3:8, which says, I know your works. Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and not denied my name. I wanted to use this verse specifically because at the time when I was struggling and I was just like at my lowest point, I had been listening to this one pastor, and he used this verse, and I could just like feel it like speaking to me. So I looked it up more, and I wanted to look more into it. And what this verse is saying is that, like, God is speaking to you. He's saying, there is an open door in front of you right now, which is the opportunity that you're about to take. It's your choice, but the door is going to stay open. No one's going to shut that door. But what the problem is the enemy is going to be whispering in your ear little lies to keep you from entering that door. He can't close the door. So he gets desperate, and he whispers to you and makes up little stories to try and like talk you out of it. So something similar, I think, had happened to Jesus. Wasn't the exact thing, but I wanted to use an example from when Jesus had fasted in the wilderness. Hear me out. So, after Jesus had been baptized, he had been baptized by John in the Jordan. He did this because God had told him to do this, and he wanted to fulfill that. So, after that, God had said, okay, now you're going to go fast for 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. So he did that. And as he was doing that, because he was fasting, of course, he's going to get hungry. So when he was weak and hunger, that was when the devil decided to come and tempt him, when we seemed to be at our weakest point. And he said to him, which I don't think I actually have slides for this, so I apologize, but he said to him, if you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread. If that were me in that situation, I think I would have just been mad. But because it was Jesus, he quoted scripture. And he said back to the devil, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. What the devil did with that information was he understood where Jesus was coming from, and he decided he was going to take that truth and entangle it with a lie to try and get to Jesus a little bit. But I found that the enemy tends to do this in our lives as well, no matter what situation we may be in. And I've been told before to be cautious with my words and my actions because of that reason. Because the enemy is going to try and use anything we say or do against us in order to get it to us in the future. And that's why whenever I want to doubt myself, I cannot say it out loud because I'm like, no, you're not using this against me. No, you're not doing that. I'm doing it in my head. I shouldn't doubt myself. Don't doubt yourself. But I make sure to be careful whenever I say something out loud, because I know that the enemy is going to look to use that against me in the future. But when I was waiting on God for an answer as to what I wanted to do here, standing on stage, even though he already given it to me, I was still scared. I was like, can you just maybe check with me again? I just want to know, is this definitely what you want me to do? So I just want to let you know now, when you're waiting for an answer from God, in whatever season you may be in, it's not going to be right away. It's not going to be a fast answer. Not always. But in that time, when you're waiting for God, the devil is going to take that opportunity to do all he can to keep you from God's calling. I wanted to also point out that there isn't just like one season for there isn't just one season of just like pain or discomfort or anything like that. There are multiple seasons. They can be good or bad. But in any season of waiting on God, the enemy is going to try and get to you and keep you away from God. And I wanted to use a little example from Ecclesiastes 3, verses 3 through 4, which says, excuse me just a second. There is a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. I thought this verse was perfect for what I just said to you. There is a season for everything. When I say there's a season of waiting, normally I would think immediately there's just frustration, pain, discomfort, all of that. But there are always different seasons of our lives. But in each one, you're always going to find some little bit of discomfort where the enemy's going to be trying to get to you. But there can be happy moments. I wanted to connect this with Psalm 37, 4 through 5, as to like just how would we deal with this? How would we deal with the enemy just like trying to get to us and just get in our heads, I guess you'd say. In Psalm 37, 4 through 5, it says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your ways to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act." So, while I was in this season, I'm a person who normally wants control of my situations. I cannot be the only one. Yeah. So, because I want control, it's harder for me to surrender to God. And when I heard this verse, it was like him just saying to me, just trust me, and I will provide for you. I'll provide the things that you need. I will give you the strength that you need, and I will give you the courage that you need in order to stand on that stage. If you just trust him, and you let him, and you just like give him the control over the situation, he will do it. Like, do not doubt him. But I found that even though when I had been waiting for an answer from God and it felt silent, like I had not been hearing from him, it was in those times, in the silence and the confusion, that God had been teaching me some of the most valuable lessons I think I'd ever learned. And I think that's very important to understand when you're either going into a season of waiting or you've already been in one. If you haven't, you will be, I promise. But I think it's just important to know that you have to surrender to God everything. You can't be in control. That's just not how it works. No matter how hard you try, it's, yeah. Before I get off, I wanted to challenge you. This is just to anyone who might be in a season of waiting right now, or just feels like God's calling them to do something, but they're just unsure because it might be something that they're not comfortable with. I just wanted to tell you, don't hesitate. Just maybe talk to either Scott or me if you feel comfortable doing so. And we will try and we'll just talk to you or even just pray for you if that's all you want. And I just wanted to let you know, if you are willing to do it, if you're willing to do God's will, He will definitely use you in that way, whatever way He may be calling you. With that being said, thank you.
Give her a round of applause. I agree with her 100%. If you feel called by God to do something, you have to come to that pivotal moment where you choose His will over yours. And sometimes it goes against everything that your body's telling you to do. You might be scared. You might be anxious. You might have these feelings, and it's okay. You're human. You're allowed to feel. But it should never stop you from pressing into the will of God. Because just like she testified tonight, she said, I can't do this. I don't have the capability. Gabriella, what are you thinking? Don't get on stage. You can't do this. But she came to the terms where she said, you know what? If I feel God calling me, He will provide. He will speak through me. He will give me the strength to stand on that stage and to speak in front of my peers. And she did it. And she did it beautifully. And I was personally moved by your speech. And I just want to encourage you to keep pressing into the will of God. He has great plans for your life, Gabriella. And so I'm excited to give the mic to our next person because I'm already running late, but we're going to give all of our attention to Miss Michaela Smith.
Okay, so let's give another round of a hand to the girls who just went before me. So I'm going to try to go pretty fast so I don't keep you here all night because I have a long sermon, but we're going to go fast. I have a video to show you, so we're just going to kick right off with that.
Off the team, whatever, there's so much instability, so much that we don't understand, that we don't know. For me, growing up, it was, a lot of you guys know my mom died giving birth to me, and my dad remarried, then my stepmom died in a car accident when I was 9, then my dad got married again, then my dad died of cancer when I was 12, and so I'm in junior high, my mom's dead, my stepmom's dead, my dad's dead. The only close relatives I had were my aunt and uncle, George and Sandra. And then when I was in high school, they got in a fight, and my uncle George shot and killed my aunt, and then stuck the gun to his own head, killed himself. So I'm 16 years old, and this is life to me, going, man, what's next? Everything seems to be falling apart, and we get a little worried, we get a little scared. And this is what Christians do, they try to serve God, but then things get a little rocky. And things get a little unstable, and so we go, okay, that was nuts. I don't want to live like that. Let me hold on. And this is your routine. This is what so many people do. They go, you know what? I'm not going to try anything crazy. I'm just going to sit here, and I'm just going to hold on. And this is what you look like. You just go. This is what people do. You know what? I'm just going to have my nice little family. We're just going to. We're just going to keep to ourselves. We're going to live in a gated community. I'm going to homeschool my kids, make them wear helmets everywhere. I'm going to, I'm not going to let them outside because sun has bad rays. I'm going to, just on and on and on. And you just live your life in the safety of, I don't want to do anything crazy for God. I just want to, go to church on Sundays and maybe give like 2%. And maybe help the nursery because I feel guilty. And then you do this your whole life, and then you go, your greatest prayer is like, God, you know what? I would love to die in my sleep and not even feel it, and then just go up to heaven. And so you want to die like this, just in your sleep, right in the middle of a dream, good dream, the dream you're going to heaven, and you don't even feel it, and then suddenly you wake up, you stand before the judge, and you go, now, if, could you imagine watching the Olympics, you know? And some girl does that, just gets up there, starts straddling the thing, and then steps off and goes, what is the judge supposed to do on the card? You see, and to me, I go, man, that's the routine that so many Christians are headed for. That's the routine, the boring, I do nothing crazy because I don't want to fall. That's the routine that they're going to live, and then one day it's going to be a shock because they're going to step off that balance beam and realize they're standing before the judge. They're standing before the judge, and you think he's going to look at that routine and go, wow, well done. Well done. You lived the safest life possible. You didn't slip, you didn't fall. See, that's not the life that God's called us to. That's where the majority will head, but I don't want to go where the majority goes.
You can put Revelations up, Scott. So, Revelations 3:15 through 16. I know your works. You are neither cold nor hot. I'm going to turn around. You're neither cold nor hot. Would you that you were either cold or hot? So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. That's a little rough, isn't it? But it's so true. We think we can do one thing and still serve God, and we can't. And I love that illustration. I want to thank Julia because she's the one who showed me that like last year, and it like came back up. But that was just so good. It's sad and it's true, but so that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about, lukewarm Christianity tonight. I want to start in Matthew 4, 18 through 20. It's when Jesus met his first disciples. While walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. I think that's, like, everyone knows that verse. Scott, could you please keep it up? Thank you. Everyone knows that verse. It's very common, and we read it, and we kind of we look at it, and we're like, oh, cool, they just left everything and went. That's so cool. So why don't we do that? So Simon, Peter, and Andrew, they were fishermen. That was their livelihood. That's how they made money. That's how they clothed themselves. It's how they fed their families and provided. So it was most likely generational. Their father was probably a fisherman, and their grandfather also was too. So they've probably been doing this since they were very young. But they left everything. This was what they knew. This is what they were good at. And they dropped everything to follow Jesus. And my favorite thing is that Jesus wasn't even persuasive. Like, he didn't give them a list of why they should follow him. And he didn't even stop by them. They were casting their nets out, and he just called out to them and was like, "Come follow me." And they were like, "Say less." And they went and followed him. And another thing is there was no negotiation. So they weren't like, "Hey, Jesus, that's so cool that you want us to follow you. Thanks." But the fish are really swimming towards our net today. I'm like, "Let me finish, and then maybe we'll start tomorrow." Why don't we fish Monday through Thursday, and the weekends we can hang out with you and we'll go do ministry stuff together. They didn't do that. They immediately left their nets and they started following Jesus. And their life, their future, and their dream was fishing. Okay, maybe it wasn't their dream to be fishermen, because it probably wasn't amazing. But that was their life, and that was what they were doing. And later in the next verse, they go to the brothers James and John, who were also fishermen, And they also immediately left their nets to follow Jesus. And but they were pretty content doing what they were doing. They were making money, they were providing, they were okay with that. But God had such a bigger purpose and plan for their life. Could you imagine if like the four of them just decided not to follow Jesus? Like, what would have happened? So, yeah, God had a much bigger purpose for their life, and they went with it. There was no hesitation, and they did it. So I have this little cool analogy that I think is cool. But if you want, it's really cool actually. If you want to put the fishbowl up, Scott. So this is a fishbowl, goldfish. This is what we look like. This is us in our little fishbowl in our lives, and we're so happy swimming around in our little safe little fishbowl. We have like nice little pebbles and nice like leaf maybe. But it's really nice. We get fed every day. Our bowl gets cleaned for us. We don't have to clean it. It's really nice, and we swim around, and we're so content, and we're really happy in it. But you know what God says? He says, I have the whole entire ocean for you. It's so much better than your little bowl. And we're like, no, I don't want the ocean. I like my little bowl that I'm confined and barely fit in. And it's nice because I'm on the counter. I can see everything. The cat scares me. But I'm safe. And God's like, but I have the whole ocean for you. So maybe like after a little bit of convincing, we're like, okay, we'll go into the ocean. And then we look like this. In a second. We're still getting out of the fishbowl. We look like this. Hopefully everyone's seen this movie. But after they escape the dentist, they look like this. We're like, God, we made it to the ocean. We did it. And he's like, no, you didn't. You're still in your bag. Like, you're still holding on to something. You're not letting me in control. I'm like, but God, we made it to the ocean. No, you didn't. You're not there all the way. You're lukewarm right now. You can't go in all the way to what God has for you. And this is what you look like. Sorry, but it's true. So God's plan for us is so much better than what we think and what we have for ourselves. So I'm gonna share real quick about like what my dream was. Because my dream was not to be up here. I don't like speaking in front of people. So my dream, if you didn't know, I love animals a lot, probably too much. But I always wanted to be a veterinarian because I just love animals and I wanted to make sure that they were always cared for and everything. And like ever since I was a little kid. And so I went to different colleges to look at different programs. I did lots of research. I wrote essays for myself about why I wanted to be a veterinarian. Yeah, it was bad. I would watch TV shows. I did all this stuff. And that was my dream. And it made me really excited. And it made me happy. It didn't bring me joy, because joy only comes from the Lord. And this was not from the Lord. Thank goodness. But this was my dream. This is what I wanted for myself. And I thought it was God's calling for me. Because I was like, I'll still go to church on Sundays. I'll request off on Sundays so I can still go. And, I'll still pray. Maybe, I can talk to, my coworker veterinarians and we can, chat about God. I was okay with that, and I thought that's what God wanted for me. I wanted this since I was a kid. So that's what I thought he wanted. And what used to make me excited no longer brings me any joy. So it never brought me joy. It doesn't make me excited anymore. And that started to dwindle kind of fast. And I was like, there was a season where it was rough. But then, as some of you may know, God called me to be a missionary, which is really exciting. I'm excited for that. And that brings me joy. And because that's what God wanted for me. But it was hard in that moment, in that season, where being a veterinarian no longer made me excited, Because I was like, God, I thought this is what you wanted for me. This is what I want to do. And he was like, but that's not what I want you to do. So, Romans 12, 1 through 2. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. So, we should be fully satisfied in him because it's perfect and it's pleasing, and his will for us is so good. And I heard this the one time. He is the bread of life, and he is living water. He's a full course meal. That's all we need. Thought that was funny. Thank you, Miss Meg. If we're not fully satisfied in him, then we don't fully know him. And we're not fully, how do I want to phrase this? We're not fully where we need to be with him. And one thing that I was just thinking about, adults work a 9 to 5, usually, right? And sometimes, they're at like a connect group. That's so cool. But then we're at like church for an hour and we're good and we call it a great time. So how are we going to be satisfied from that? We're not, and it's not going to be good. And if we drink water for one time during a week, we're not going to be great. It's not going to go good. But we pretend and we think that that's going to be enough, and it's not. And that's where we become lukewarm. And, I need to keep going, I'm so sorry. It's not sustaining and it's not filling. And maybe you think you're going to be different, and that's cool. Maybe you're on the worship team. Maybe you're in a Christian club at school. Maybe you help Scott set up. That's so great, and continue doing that. That's awesome. But then what happens after you graduate, when you are an adult and you can handle things by yourself? You're going to have to start putting God first for yourself. Your mom's not going to drive you to church. It's your choice now. And I think a lot of us, unfortunately, are going to get lost and we're going to get sucked into the world. And it's sad. It breaks my heart. It does. Because so many of us are going to become lukewarm. And it's not pleasing for God, and he's going to spit us out. And everything we should do, it should all be for him, and forget what, that's a verse in the Bible somewhere, I don't know, I didn't write it down. But there's a saying, like, teachers are they say, Scott actually said it, give her your undivided attention. And then we sometimes listen to that for our teachers, not always because they're kind of boring. But God wants our undivided attention. He wants all of us. He doesn't want some of us, because that doesn't make sense. Like, why would we only be I don't even know. Do you run a marathon with only one shoe? No, that makes no sense. We have to run with both shoes. We have to give ourselves all the way to God. In James 2:17, so also faith by itself, if it does not have works, it is dead. Like I said, we'll go to church and twice a week because we're here now. And then we kind of just we live in that and we think it's good, and then maybe we read our Bible and that's it. And we're yeah, I believe in God. That's so cool, good for you. But what else? The two girls that went before me, they had works tonight. They didn't just have their faith, they did something about it. And that's amazing, and that's what we all need to do. And I used to be scared to speak in front of people. Look where I am. I still don't love being up here, but here I am. Like, we need to have those works, or our faith is dead. And so God called me into missions, which is really exciting. But we're all supposed to be missionaries. Matthew 28:19. One of my favorite verses. It's go out into all the world and make disciples, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I don't think I have that slide. But a lot of the times we wait for others to be sent. And we're like, nope, that's not for me. I thought that too. That's not for me. I'm not going to do that. That's okay. We live in our little fish bowls. And we'll let others go. There's other fish in the sea. And we let that happen. And maybe we'll like tithe and give to missions. That's so good. That's so important. And then that's all we do. And we're like, God, send people. But he's sending all of us. And we need to go and we need to do something about it. We need to get out of our fishbowl. We need to stop straddling the balance beam of life, because that's not doing anything for anyone. And we need to just do something so amazing for God, because if we just straddle that balance beam and we stand before God and we're like, woo, we did it. We went to church twice a week. And he's like, okay, and you did nothing else. And does everyone remember how Jesus died? It was kind of gruesome and terrible. And it should make you upset. Not for a long time, because he rose again, spoiler alert. But he did, which is great. But he didn't die that terrible death so we could live a cozy American dream. Hate that. American dream. And our gated communities and homeschoolers. Homeschool is not bad, it's okay. But it's the safety. Get out of your fishbowl. Yeah, he didn't die that terrible death so that we could just be comfortable the whole time. Our lives are not supposed to be comfortable. He loves us so much that he let all of that sin onto himself. But yet, so all of this happened. I'm not going to go into his death right now. But all of that happened, and we still put him on the back burner. And we still make sure that we have better priorities, whether we try to or not, whether it's music or sports or friends or whatever. We push him back. And this is going to sound a little rough, and I'm sorry. But we come to church on Sunday mornings, we sing 3 songs, we listen to the pastor preach his message, we'll say hello to people we haven't seen in a week, then we'll go home, we'll take a nap, and then we rest. Then during the week, we wake up, we go to school or work, we come home, we eat dinner, then we sleep, and then we'll repeat that for the next 50 years, and that's not exciting. Because we're not making God that priority. We're living that lukewarm lifestyle. Romans 2:13. For merely listening to the law doesn't make us right with God. It is obeying the law that makes us right in his sight. Rhymes, I like that. So, like, I'm up here preaching, right? That's exciting. But you guys are listening right now, right? Hopefully. Pay attention, guys. But that, just listening doesn't make us right with God. It's obeying his law and doing something about it. Giving him everything that he deserves. And Jesus is supposed to be our example, correct? Do you look up to him? Like, we should model our lives after him. Hopefully you should do that. He loved, we're supposed to love. He forgave, we forgive. you should forgive. He was baptized. We get baptized. He shared the gospel, but we struggle to do that. And his whole life was centered around sharing the gospel and sharing the truth. And it's not supposed to be comfortable. I think he had like a fun time. You don't think people were like bashing him and stuff and saying, "Oh, you're not the Son of God." Yeah, that actually happened. It was hard and it was difficult, but he did it anyway. I have this quote. Hopefully, I read it earlier and I was like really stuttering over it, so we're gonna hope that I can read it correctly. Paul never glamorized the gospel. It is not success, but sacrifice. It is not a glamorous gospel, but a bloody gospel, a glory gospel, and a sacrificial gospel. 5 minutes inside eternity, we will wish that we had sacrificed more, wept more, bled more, grieved more, loved more, prayed more, and given more. It makes me sad to think that, God's going to spit so many of us out. And sorry. It breaks my heart because I don't want that for any of you guys. And I want you to go out into the ocean that God has for you, and I want you to just feel safe, because He will make you feel safe in unsafe situations. And I just go out and stop holding on to your fear and to your anxiety, because that's not going to help you achieve anything. Because if we're still in our fishbowl, if we're still, straddling the balance beam, and we get off and we go to heaven, and God's going to say, what was that? He is not going to be impressed. It's not going to go well. And we just have to keep pushing, and we have to figure out His will for us. And it's not going to happen right away. And because I didn't know what God had for me until I was 17. And it's going to be longer for some people. But you have to remember, is it what God has for you, or is it what you have for yourself? Because what we have for ourselves is nowhere as good as what God has for us. Thank you.
Give her a round of applause. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. I agree with Michaela's. I love her analogy of the fishbowl, and I loved it. It is so good, and it's exactly what we're called to. See, too many people who gather even in this church on Sunday morning, and many like it over the nation and over the world, they think that the calling of God is optional, that serving in your church is optional, and it's not. You are all called by God, and you are all required to serve. That verse that she shared, without works, my faith is dead. But guess what? God constantly trying to get us to understand He wants all of our heart, not just a little bit. Then goes on in verses and He flips it, that just your works are filthy rags to me, but your faith can move mountains. So wait. Isn't that a contradiction then? No, what He's saying is you need both.